Hello, professor and colleague. According to the Model 7 native speakerism, we can say that the meaning of native speakers is a widespread ideology in the English language teaching profession, whatever those perceived as a native speaker of English are considered to be better language models and to embody a superior Western teaching methodology than those perceived as non-native speakers. How the concept has been defined or understood? First, native speakers can now be understood as an ideology which, while privileging the knowledge and voices of Western English language teaching institutions, uses bases and stereotypes to classify people, such as typical language teachers, as superior or inferior based on the perceived belonging or lack of belonging to the native speaker group. And also, the native speakerism is a new racist ideology that has wide-ranging impact on how teachers are perceived by each others and by their students. By labeling the teachers as separate native speakers and non-native speakers, it falsely positions them as culturally superior and inferior, with separate roles and attributes. According to the assumptions about the linguistic competence of native speakers can be useful made, native speakers in terms of language skills have developed the four skills. Signs, it is their mother tongue and it's acquired intuitively, and from that process, they receive and process of the linguistic information. Therefore, understanding language skills in a specific way will be difficult when explaining grammar rules. Example, they speak according to the parenting context. The other one, the ideology of native speakers, which assume that native speakers and their culture have superiority and authority. Under the ideology of native speakers, a teacher's linguistic identity is highly valued by practitioners and learners, whereas professional competences, which is supposed to be appreciated, is neglected and even dismissed. According to the assent, this ideology is rooted in the belief that language learners, the first language assent, when transferred into the second language, deems their second language speech incompensable assent as related to a speaker's identity in connection with their language background. In these sociocultural categories, such as origins, race, ethnicity, social class, and gender, an ideology of non-assent then promotes prejudice and injustices its attempts to invisible and undermine diversity in speakers. The other one is the goal of bilingual users of English is to achieve native-like competences in English. The other assumption that all bilingual users want to achieve native-like competence restricts the applicability of much of it. Any examples of how concept of native speakers have affect policy teachers and or stakeholders that have you experienced or been aware of in Colombia? So emphasize that native speakers creates realities of exclusion, discrimination, and rationalization for intervention and cultural correction. To address the problem of native speakers in English language teaching practices and policies, and commonly recommended proposals is that a localist model, linguistically, culturally, and politically, more effective for English teachers and learners in the local context, should be applied instead of a native speaker model. In the case of Colombia, ambitious programs for the teaching of English usually favor the status and knowledge of the native speaker over the Colombian teacher who cannot be categorized with a native model. The national government to prioritize the learning of this foreign language in the public sector across the country. However, native speakers in English language teaching usually comes with negative stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination against non-native speakers, English-speaking teachers, especially in terms of English teacher recruitment and learners' preferences. I consider that an example that involves this topic are schools that prefer to do exchange with native teachers and not teachers who are not native speakers, but have studied a second language quite a bit. For example, in Zipaquirá, there is a school that hires foreign teachers who know English and have high communication skills, but are unaware of the teaching methodologies. Another example that can be given in this case is that in most cases the students consider that a teacher who teaches a second language is a foreigner and therefore a native speaker, which indicate that there is a misconception between a native speaker and non-native speakers. So, your recommendation on the levels of police and public outreach for migration, the effect of native speakers in Colombia. Native teachers hired in Colombia must be certificated, so education authorities prefer hiring native speakers with no certification to teach over local teachers who hold graduate degrees on the field. These prevalent preferences cause evident difference in terms of flexibility of working, schedule, salary, and even personal treatment, gratifying the native speakers and placing the non-native speaker teachers in a greater disadvantaged position. And another one, teacher training fails when it only instructs teachers on how and what to do technically, instead of promoting authenticity, reflection, and autonomy in the language classroom. Therefore, it's important that policies for teachers for the teaching of a second language and that learning is meaningful. That teacher training can't be taken only as a drill of instruction of theories to be applied in a foreign language classroom, but instead as a process of development for creators of knowledge who are able to make decisions about teaching English according to the social, cultural, and historical contents surrounding foreign language education. The second one, native English teachers, can act as a perfect language models, but it's important to highlight non-native English teachers can serve as imitable models of the successful learning of English, depending on the extent to which they are proficient as a user of English. That's all. Thank you so much.